Hello, boils and ghouls. My name is Ashley, and this week I watched Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. So, I guess the existence of this movie proves that being eaten by a sandworm is not a permanent thing. Did I enjoy this movie? Yes, I did. Do I love it? Yes, I do. Does it have parts I think could have been better? Of course. But that's most movies. But I'll get into that later. Now, the general story of this movie is something happens to Lydia's daughter, and she needs Beetlejuice's help to save her. And I imagine that had to be a horrible realization and decision to make, to call on the ghost with the most, or as Lydia calls him, an actual demon, to help you save your kid. And as you can see, I'm here dressed in my Beetlejuice dress because even though he's horrible, he's a great character and I love him. Now, let's talk about characters. Should we go from least favorite to most favorite? Or what I thought would have been my most favorite? Yes. Let's start with Charles Dees. Now, in the trailer, you see them at a funeral and you realize, oh, it's Charles's funeral. Honestly, I felt no great loss for Charles Dees. I was surprised, however, to find that he had more of a story in this movie than I expected him to. Although I guess I should have expected something. It is a movie about dead people in the afterlife. They found a way to recast the actor that played Charles without you having to see him. Although when he speaks, you can tell the voice is different, but it doesn't really take away from anything. And yeah, like, Delia is upset about losing her husband. She seems like less upset than you would think. And then sometimes she's just distraught, but that could just be Delia. Although she seems to be using his death as a way to create more art, which is what a lot of artists do. Delia still makes art, and even when Charles dies, she doesn't really take a break. Right? They go back to the Winter River house, and they bury him there. And she's immediately trying to create more art based off of his death and her grief, and like, maybe she should have slowed down and taken a break, but if that's how she processes it, that's how she processes it. And then there's Rory. He works with Lydia. Let me tell you, when I saw the trailers and I immediately didn't like this guy, it's not an exaggeration. I knew from the trailers, I'm like, there's going to be something weird with this dude. And of course, I was right. Because there's, he's kind of like one of those cliche characters where you see him coming a mile away. And even Lydia's daughter, Astrid, is onto him. I don't even think Lydia likes this guy very much, honestly. And there's Jeremy, the kid that sits in the treehouse with Astrid in the trailers. More happened with that kid than I was expecting, and honestly, it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, even when I was watching the movie, which I appreciate. I like when a movie is able to surprise me, and I'm not able to pick out what the end goal is with each character the way I did with Rory. So I appreciated that. Astrid, and Lydia, really, but mostly Astrid, made me question the Dietz, family history, because when they get to Winter River, she is seeing, a dead person and doesn't realize that they're dead, so I'm wondering if seeing ghosts is a Dietz family trait, and if it's triggered by the house, or if the Dietz's, in this case, Lydia and Astrid, were able to always see them and maybe didn't realize, because Lydia continues to see ghosts even after they leave Winter River. She made a whole career out of it. And Astrid doesn't believe. Astrid does not believe her. She thinks she's full of nonsense and doesn't really see anything and makes it up and she's a fraud until she gets to Winter River. And not because of Beetlejuice. Because the whole family, everybody saw Beetlejuice. He can be seen by anybody and everybody. So I'd like to know, were they capable of this before Winter River? Lydia, as I said, has made a career out of seeing dead people. She's turned it into a whole TV show, which kind of made life a little difficult for Astrid because kids in school kind of pick on her for it. But I guess when you learn you have a skill like that, put it to good use. I would, honestly. There's a conversation she has with Delia, and let me ask you. When you watched the original, did you think that Lydia's mom was no longer with us? Because I did. But apparently, she's still very much living, according to Lydia and the conversation she had with Delia. So I wonder if everybody thought she was gone. Was it just me? Because Lydia was so, like, I'm not talking about her all black, her goth aesthetic, because I also enjoy that. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're in mourning and you're sad, but she just gave off sad girl, I'm in mourning, I'm going through a loss vibes. But apparently not. That was just who she is. Let's talk about Dolores. I love that they created a character from a small bit of dialogue in the first movie. And I knew as soon as I saw her in the trailer, they showed her hands in one of them, and I knew right away who it was because she was missing her ring finger. And I spoke to my sister about this. I said, when you watch the wedding scene and he says she meant nothing to me, nothing at all, where did you think he got that ring from? My sister says, I assumed he stole it off a body. Me too. That he just took it. I guess technically he did. Dolores is on a rampage. I'm using that term very loosely, but she is hunting down Beetlejuice. She is angry, and she spends the entire movie looking for him. And here's the part that I thought could have been better and was a little bit disappointing for me. What should have been like the confrontation portion of the movie, the climax of the movie, I expected something to happen between Dolores and Beetlejuice, and it doesn't. It falls very flat. Literally, nothing happens. There's no confrontation. She shows up. They don't even really speak to each other. It's very short. And I'm like, and is something going to happen here? And that was disappointing to me. I thought they would have done more with her. They could have done more with her. It could have been better. I know Tim Burton doesn't do sequels. He's done this and like Batman Returns. But if we get a third one, which nobody's saying that there would be, but I mean, we do say his name 3 times, you know? I would like to see more of her because there was so much that could have been done that just fell flat, you know? I got so excited. She walks in, she's there, he's there, and I'm like, ooh, here we go. This is going to be good. And then it's just over, and it's nothing. Honestly, the movie would have been exactly the same if they left Dolores out. And I really expected her to be one of my new favorite characters. Her and Astrid. So that was a little disappointing for me. And then there's Beetlejuice himself. Of course, he was fantastic. Michael Keaton was fantastic as Beetlejuice. It's like he has still been playing this character for 30 years. Mannerisms are the same. The way he talks is the same. His actions, everything. It's like he hasn't missed a day. And I loved that. Because with iconic characters like that, even if you have the original actor playing them, it's been so long. Sometimes it doesn't hit the same way, right? They can't really do it the same way. But he did. And it was perfect. And I loved it. And let's face it, I think that's why most of us were watching this movie is for him and Winona Ryder. Also, Catherine O'Hara. Because all of these characters, these original characters were on point. They all did fantastic. Beetlejuice is still working as a bioexorcist. I think that's what he called himself in the first one, right? Except he's got a team now. I'm sure you've seen them, not just in trailers, but in commercials. There's so many weird commercial collabs for Beetlejuice, like Secret Deodorant and Progressive. Yeah, like they spare no expense on marketing for this movie. But the Bob, little shrunken head guy, I mentally keep calling the whole team the Bobs. They all have different names. Like one is named Alan. Like they all have different names. But the main one is Bob. And he's like the one Beetlejuice delegates everything to in his like office. Because I really don't think Beetlejuice does anything. Maybe he shows up to help get people out of a house, but he's not the one answering phones here. It's all of the Bobs. So Bob was one of my favorite characters. Just watching him was fun. And I kind of felt bad for him because he had to work for Beetlejuice. But like I said, Beetlejuice is helping Lydia save her daughter Astrid. And of course, he will manipulate that situation and is still hung up on Lydia, like has a picture of her on his desk. And I'm pretty sure he's been haunting her. I don't know like for how long, but she says she's been seeing him and really like wasn't sure if she was imagining it or if he was really there, but she was pretty sure he was really there. And I think he mentions it to Bob that he does like visit her. So like Beetlejuice is haunting her. I don't know how he's doing that because I don't think he could do that in the first one. Like you had to summon him with the name, but maybe because they have a connection because of the first movie, because she has summoned him before, he's able to pop up briefly every once in a while. And even at the end of the movie, I think he might actually still be haunting her. There's a weird dream sequence, and he said that we were going to get a dream sequence. So that's another thing he does that I don't think he did in the original. He looks at the camera a lot. It's not full on a Ferris Bueller fourth wall break, but he does look at the camera a lot and like acknowledge that he's looking at somebody that's not part of the cast. We get to see a little bit more of the other side, the afterlife, whatever they're calling it, I don't remember. I loved that. I loved seeing more of the different ghosts that are in there. And I don't know if anyone remembers the Beetlejuice animated series. Every time I mention it to someone, they don't remember it. So that might have just been my weird self as a child that watched it. In that show, Beetlejuice and Lydia are like best friends and they go on adventures in the afterlife. And this, I mean, they're not friends in this and they're not going on an adventure. It's Lydia needing help and nobody else can help her, and Beetlejuice taking advantage of the situation. But the two of them having the same goal and going into the afterlife to do it reminded me of that animated series. It's probably not supposed to, but it does. So it was very fun for me to see different areas of it other than an office or the waiting room or a hallway. They've expanded the universe, and I like that. If they do a third one, which not getting my hopes up, I think they have room to grow with this, especially in terms of the Dolores and Beetlejuice storyline, because like I said, it felt very much like they stopped developing it. It doesn't have a conclusion at all, but like I said, I'm not getting my hopes up. It took 30 years to get this one, and Michael Keaton is 73, so they can't wait another 30 years. I don't think he'll be able to do this at 103, or they'll be summoning his ghost to do it, and then it'll be actual Beetlejuice. I was going to say that's not a good idea, but actually that might be cool. But anyway, overall, I loved this movie. I think the story was great. I love that we get to meet new characters, especially Lydia's daughter. But it's brought up a lot of questions for me about the Dietz family. But maybe that's just me wanting too many explanations for things. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to subscribe. Click like if you feel like it. If there's anything you'd like me to watch, please let me know in the comments down below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.